Imagine a government meeting unlike any other. 20 feet underwater, deep in the blue Indian Ocean, a country's president and his team wore special masks and air tanks. This equipment, called scuba gear, let them breathe and work below the surface. They sat at a table fixed to the sandy seabed. Here, they did something truly important. They signed a global plea. This paper was a strong, desperate request, asking the whole world to help save their country. Little bubbles from their masks drifted quietly upwards towards the sunlight and the sky. The Maldivian people hoped to see that sky for many more years. This happened in October 2009, and the president at that time was Mohammed Nasheed. Why would the leaders of a sovereign nation meet under the sea? This was not a game. It was a powerful and theatrical message. The country is the Maldives, known worldwide as a postcard-perfect holiday spot. But it is more than just pretty beaches. The Maldives is a real country with rich history, unique culture, and many people. It is a nation fighting for its very existence. A silent but fast-ticking clock threatens its future. They are trying to stop a terrible future where their islands are lost forever. This meeting was meant to shock the world into understanding the extreme danger they face. The Maldives is a country made up of about 1,200 tiny islands, almost all very low. Most sit barely 1 meter above sea level. This makes them beautiful, but also incredibly vulnerable to the rising ocean. Scientists show that sea levels are slowly but surely increasing. For the Maldives, this means the land their ancestors lived on could soon be covered by water. This underwater cabinet meeting was a surreal way to show this unseen threat. It was a desperate attempt to make powerful countries listen and act before it is too late for their homeland. As the last bubbles rose from the scuba masks, a grave question hung in the air. Will this extraordinary warning be heard by the world? Will other nations provide the help needed to save the Maldives? Or will this critical plea be ignored? Will the beautiful island nation be slowly swallowed by the ever-rising sea? The fate of a whole country, its culture, and its people hangs in the balance. The Maldivian people look up, hoping for a future that might soon disappear beneath the waves. 2. A country of water. The Maldives is a country made mostly of water, a stunning collection of islands in the vast Indian Ocean. From high above, the islands appear like many small, bright green jewels scattered across an immense blue tablecloth. These lands are not high, rugged mountains. Instead, they are atolls, which are flat lands formed from the tops of ancient sunken volcanoes and living coral. The highest point on any island is very low, less than 2 meters above the sea. This means the islands lie almost flush with the ocean surface, bordered by vibrant coral reefs and filled with palm trees and breadfruit trees. It truly is a place born from the sea. This unique geography has shaped the nation for thousands of years. People have lived in these islands for a very long time, since around the 5th century BC. Early settlers coming from present-day Sri Lanka and India began to build their lives here. It makes one wonder how they managed to create a thriving civilization on such flat coral islands, barely higher than a tall person. Over many centuries, the Maldivian people developed a rich and unique culture. They had a strong maritime history, trading with Arab merchants,
East African sailors, and Indian traders. These interactions helped form their distinct identity. They speak their own special language, Divehi, and their lives are deeply and forever linked to the ocean that surrounds them. The ocean provides food, paths for travel, and a way of life that has lasted for thousands of years. The nation gained its independence from the United Kingdom in 1965. Today, the population of the Maldives is over 560,000 people. The capital city, Malé, is one of the most crowded places on Earth. It is a very small island, just about 2 square kilometers, yet more than a quarter of the entire country's people live there. Malé is an island built mostly of concrete, and it sits very low, right next to the Indian Ocean. Strong seawalls surround the city on all sides, trying to protect it from the sea. Standing at the edge of Malé, you can see the horizon in every direction, a vast expanse of water. This creates a claustrophobic feeling, as there is simply nowhere higher to go. This reality shows how vulnerable the country is, with the ocean always present, a constant reminder of the limited space and the challenges of living on land that barely rises above the waves. 3. The scary numbers. The numbers about the Maldives are truly frightening, showing a terrible future. Imagine a country where almost all the land is very close to the ocean. 80% of its islands are less than 1 meter above sea level. The highest point in the entire nation is only 2.4 meters high. This means that if the ocean rises by just 1 meter, most of the Maldives' land could disappear. This is not just a flood, it is an erasure of a country. Scientists and experts, like those from the World Bank, project that sea levels could rise by 0.5 to 0.9 meters by the year 2100. If the ocean reaches the higher number, the entire country could be completely covered by water. But even before the land sinks, there is another big, immediate threat: fresh drinking water. This is not a future problem. It is happening now. By 2021, a shocking 97% of the islands already had no fresh water available underground. This groundwater is essential for daily life. However, rising seawater pushes into the land, bringing salt. This salt then mixes with the fresh water, causing serious contamination. This makes the water unsafe and undrinkable. The land becomes uninhabitable even before it is physically underwater. The future looks grim. Experts predict that by 2050, 80% of the Maldives could become uninhabitable due to global warming. This means a terrifying countdown of inches and centimeters is happening right now. Every small rise in sea level brings the country closer to this grim reality. For instance, just 10 centimeters of sea level rise can make coastal floods 3 times more frequent. It also causes unprotected coastlines to retreat by 10 meters. By the end of this century, the Maldives could face extreme coastal floods every single year. These powerful floods used to happen only once every 100 years. Now they might become an annual nightmare. All buildings and important places within 100 meters of the coast would be extremely vulnerable to inundation and severe damage. This stark reality leaves many people questioning how much time do the islanders truly have left before their beautiful country is swallowed by the rising sea. 4. Dying coral reefs. Coral reefs are incredibly important for the Maldives. These living structures are like the natural armor that holds the islands together. They protect the land from strong ocean waves and storm surges. Coral reefs also help create the sand that forms the beautiful beaches tourists love. Without them, the Maldives would be very different. However, these vital corals are dying because the ocean water is getting too warm. When the water stays hot for too long, corals become stressed and turn white. This process is called mass bleaching. It makes the vibrant reefs look ghostly white and dead. If the water does not cool down, the bleached corals will die completely. In recent years, the world has seen record-breaking marine heat waves. In 2024, the ocean temperatures in the Maldives reached very high levels, causing severe damage. Many corals died during these events, a sad process known as mass mortality. Some areas lost more than 40% of their hard coral cover. Normally, corals can recover from bleaching if they get enough time, but the intervals between these heat waves are becoming shorter and shorter. What used to be a rare event now happens almost every year. This means the corals do not have enough time to heal and grow back before the next heat wave hits. Without healthy reefs, the Maldives faces many dangers. The islands will lose their natural protection from waves. This will make the beaches erode much faster. Also, reefs are home to many fish, which are important for food and the fishing industry.
If the reefs disappear, so will the fish. The famous sandy beaches will also shrink because new sand comes from coral. The future of the Maldivian islands depends on the health of these reefs. The country is very vulnerable without these natural barriers. If the corals cannot recover, the ocean's strong waves might slowly wash the sandy islands away. This makes many people wonder if the Maldives' natural walls of defense will simply crumble and disappear. 5. Money from tourists. The Maldives is a very beautiful place that many people visit for holidays. These visitors bring a lot of money, which is important for the country. Tourism is the biggest industry here, making up a large part of the nation's wealth and foreign money. The Maldives changed from a small fishing economy to a global luxury spot in about 50 years. Resorts are often one island, one resort, meaning each hotel takes up a whole small island. These places are very luxurious, with special villas built over the water and private services. Rich people and famous stars come here, paying thousands of dollars each night. In 2024, tourism brought in about $5.6 billion. But there is a big problem. The money from tourists is crucial for the Maldives. It helps pay for important things like health and education. It also helps to build strong seawalls to protect the islands from rising water. However, the tourists themselves, by traveling long distances and staying in energy-intensive resorts, add to the problem.
Their flights use a lot of fuel, releasing carbon gases into the air. This makes climate change worse, causing the sea to rise even faster. It's a sad paradox. The very people who bring money are also helping to destroy the beautiful islands they visit. The country needs this money, but its main business is in danger. Many of the nation's best resorts and airports are very close to the sea, making them easy targets for floods and strong storms. Over 90% of hotels now report that their beaches are shrinking because of erosion. This makes it harder to attract tourists in the long term. Also, the Maldives has a lot of national debt. It has spent much money on building new infrastructure and needs billions more, around $2 to $4 billion, to protect itself from the sea. For a small country, this is a huge burden. The fishing industry, which has fed Maldivians for thousands of years, faces its own problems. Experts say that fish catches could almost disappear by the end of this century because of warmer oceans. Tuna, a very important fish, might vanish. This is not just about money, it's about a way of life. So the Maldives faces a heartbreaking situation. It needs money to survive, but its two main sources of income, tourism and fishing, are both being harmed by the very climate change they are trying to fight. The nation is in danger of going bankrupt before it even has a chance to save itself from being lost to the sea. 6. Making new islands.
The Maldivian government faces a huge challenge. Their beautiful islands are slowly disappearing under the rising sea. In a desperate move, they started a new, bold plan, making new land. This looks like something from a science fiction movie. They dredge the dark ocean floor to build giant artificial islands. The most important example is Hul Malay. This island is much higher than other natural islands. It is elevated to 2.1 meters above sea level. This makes it much safer from the ocean's rising water, which is a major concern for the low-lying Maldives. Hul Malay is now a growing modern city designed to be a safe haven. It already houses more than 50,000 people and plans to accommodate 240,000 by the mid-2020s. The current president, Mohamed Muizu, calls Hul Malay a lifeline and a blueprint for survival. He sees it as a model for how the Maldives can continue to exist, building new, higher platforms for its people. These are like modern fortress cities, built to stand strong against the waves. However, this strategy is controversial. Scientists, environmental groups, and activists are very worried about this large-scale land reclamation. They say that digging up huge amounts of sand from the ocean floor and from lagoons causes serious damage. This industrial process deeply hurts the vital coral ecosystems. These reefs are not just beautiful, they physically protect the islands from big ocean storm surges and also create the sand that forms the beaches.
Studies have shown that this kind of reclamation can harm corals in seagrass. It also damages natural barriers like sandbars and destroys marine habitats. One expert even called atolls extremely vulnerable ecosystems where any interference can cause lasting damage. When sand is dug up, it creates fine particles, known as sediment, that spread in the water. These particles then cover the coral, smothering and eventually killing it. This puts the Maldives in a difficult situation, almost a paradox. The government argues that they have no other choice but to act, or the country will be completely covered by water. But critics say that hasty, poorly planned building destroys the natural defenses that could help the islands adapt. They warn that it jeopardizes marine ecosystem and the very things that attract tourists. Can human engineering truly overcome the powerful forces of nature? Or will these aggressive attempts to build a new home accidentally remove the very things that keep the Maldives alive? This question hangs heavy over the islands, making the choice between action and inaction very hard. 7. Nowhere to go. The darkest question of this entire crisis is what happens to over 500,000 people when their country is permanently erased from the map. Where will they go? This is not an easy problem. When land disappears, people lose their homes, their jobs, and their unique way of life. For the Maldivian people, This question brings deep worry and sadness.
The world does not yet have clear answers for people who lose their homes because of climate change. These people are sometimes called climate refugees. However, current international law does not officially recognize them. This means that if the Maldives becomes uninhabitable, its people might not have an automatic right to find safety in another country. They could become stateless, with no legal home anywhere on Earth. This is a very difficult and unfair situation, leaving them without official protection or a clear path forward. The people of the Maldives do not want to leave their home. Their culture, their language, and their entire way of life are deeply connected to these specific islands. For thousands of years, their ancestors have built and lived here. To move would mean losing a part of who they are, abandoning traditions and a strong bond with the ocean that defines them. Imagine the heartbreak of leaving everything you know, your family history, and your community behind. This makes the thought of leaving truly painful and almost impossible for many. Past leaders sometimes talked about buying land in other countries, like India, Sri Lanka, or Australia. This was seen as a kind of insurance policy for the worst case. But the current president, Mohamed Muizu, has stopped these plans. He believes the Maldives can build new, higher islands and beat the rising seas, allowing his people to stay.
It is not popular in any democracy to tell citizens they must abandon their homeland. The Maldivian people have a strong desire to fight for their home, not to run from it. This situation shows a great injustice. The Maldives produces almost no greenhouse gases. Its total contribution to the global climate problem is nearly zero. Yet it is one of the first countries that might disappear because of it. The big, rich countries that caused most of the climate change must now decide. Will they open their borders to these victims? Will they help the people whose homes they helped destroy? Or will they turn away? The world watches to see if humanity cares enough to save its most vulnerable people from a future they did not create. 8. The final choice. The Maldives is more than just a country facing a problem. It is the world's ultimate warning alarm. It shows us a dark future that many coastal cities around the globe could face if we do not act now. What happens to the Maldives is like a mirror reflecting what might happen to other low-lying places, from Bangladesh to Miami. This small nation highlights the urgent need for global action against climate change. Despite facing this huge threat, the Maldivian people have shown a strong and relentless fight to survive. They are not just victims, they are active warriors battling against the rising tides. They have used creativity to build new, higher islands like Hul Malay to give their people a safe future.
They have lobbied world leaders tirelessly and worked closely with scientists. Their efforts in innovating and adapting prove their deep desire to preserve their homeland and culture. This story began with the president and his cabinet signing a document 20 feet underwater in 2009. That powerful image was a desperate plea to the world. It showed how serious the threat of global warming is to this low-lying nation. More than 15 years later, that warning is louder than ever. Now, the choice for their survival truly rests in the hands of the world's biggest superpowers. These are the nations whose large carbon emissions contribute most to the problem, and their decisions will decide the Maldives' fate. The Maldives has contributed almost nothing to causing climate change.
Their share of global greenhouse gas emissions is almost negligible. Yet, they are the ones suffering the most direct and immediate danger. This unfair situation raises a big question. Does humanity truly care enough to save its most vulnerable people? Will we protect their unique culture, their Dhivehi language, and the way of life they have known for thousands of years? Or will they become a lost civilization, remembered only in history books? What happens to the Maldives is a test for all of us. It is a question about human priorities and what we value as a global society. Can we listen to a clear warning and respond with enough speed and commitment before it is too late?
The window for meaningful action is closing fast. The tide continues to rise, and the time for global cooperation and decisive action is now. If you had to leave your home forever because of rising oceans, what is the one memory or item you would take with you? Let us know in the comments below.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.